don't know what that was. Hey, I'm Grant Cohn. That's the coach. This is the coach's meeting. Adam Schefter went on a big YouTube show yesterday, which I'm not going to say because I'm petty. And I don't like that guy. He went on that show and said a bunch of wild stuff about Trey Lance. I don't know if any of it was news, but the fact that it's Adam Schefter and he's the most connected person in the business and he literally worked with Brian Greasy at ESPN makes you go, So we're just going to dive right in on this mystery show. On this mystery YouTube show that I won't name, Adam Schefter went on yesterday and said there is absolutely no trade market for Trey Lance. Or if it does exist, it's so negligible that the Niners wouldn't consider it because of what they gave up for him. And that, I mean, made a lot of people's eyebrows raise.
Right.
What's your reaction?
I think it's par for the course for what you would say if you're in line with the organization who you're reporting for. It helps the Niners.
Real quick. Adam Schefter wrote the biography on Mike Shanahan. Keep going.
Yeah, so it helps. It helps the Niners. It does. It helps the Niners to put out there that there is no trade market for Trey because it quells the fact that their asking price was probably too high for Trey.
And explains why he's still on the team if they like Brock so much.
Exactly. And also the Vikings want Trey. Atlanta wants Trey. Tennessee could want Trey. I mean, what you would say, any team that wants Trey would have to be willing to tie their legacy to him. Anybody that would want to ingest him. So I see a myriad of teams that would pull the trigger on Trey. But the thing about it is that it's the asking price, what you would have to pay Trey because of where he got picked in the draft, his rookie contract. And I do believe that there is a trade market for Trey, but the Niners are just asking for too much, and teams can't do it.
I look at it a different way. I kind of believe Adam. I don't.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I don't think there is much of a trade market for it, and I think the Niners killed it. I think you could. Maybe I'm wrong here. We could disagree on this. Let me talk through my perspective. Let me see what you think. When the Titans drafted Will Levis in round 2, that was a bad sign because that's a Niner guy, and you think. If there was a segment of the organization that liked Trey, maybe he would go after him. But it seems to me what the Niners have done, and Adam Schefter said it, like the host of this show, whose name I forget, kept saying like, well, isn't the guy going to get a chance? Like, how do you give up all this capital for a guy and never give him a chance? And
with the investment involved,
that's the question. And Schefter just gets real defensive.
Say what Adam said, Grant. Please say what
he goes, well, they've seen him in practice. They've seen him.
They have gotten a good look at him.
And so what the Niners have done is essentially tanked his trade value by saying he sucks in practice, implying it, whispering it, leaking it, whatever you want to call it, whatever the verb is. They have tanked his trade value off of practice, not a game. We're
going to stay with that narrative.
Yeah.
We're going to stay with that narrative, right? Because they're smart enough to know what they have because of practice, right? So that means that let's take that a step further. Trey's not going to be the starter for this team. It's not happening. And one of the reasons, there's a couple of indicators that we're going to touch on throughout the show, but one of them is simply preparation. It's what we talked about previously. The other teams that matter to us are not only the other 31 teams in the league, but the top teams that we're going to see later in the year. And our biggest gripe with this faux quarterback competition that we've been told that we're having is that we're not really preparing. We're having a quarterback competition. We're not getting the reps together with our number one guy. We're not trying to get anything together. And because of that, we also looked at the multiple quarterbacks that are supposed to be ingesting this offense. Well, I don't think that Sam is going to be doing anything that Trey learned when he was supposed to be the starter last year. I think that there's different versions of this offense, and I think that what Sam is learning is basically what Brock gave us in the last 8 games, that iteration of the offense. And I believe that whatever Trey was doing the season before when he was the starter is not what he's doing now. I believe that Trey is actually being given the full offense, and he's learning. And to another point, as soon as Trey went down, what was the quote that rang hollow through back to Niners football? And let's take it a step further. Let's just say that that's all narrative, right? Coach and Grant, here they go again. Counting the tea leaves. But let's do it this way. Last year, the backup quarterback for Trey Lance was Nate Sudfeld. Nate Sudfeld got paid $3 million guaranteed to be here. Okay. That was a indictment on the fact that, hey, we want you here. Nate Sudfeld is not running no quarterback zones. He's not running anything that Trey was.
They could have had Tyrod Taylor.
Could have had Tyrod, right? Who's the backup? Who's the backup with Philly right now?
Marcus Mariota.
Right.
Because of course he is. Of course
he is.
Yeah, yeah.
Nate Sudfeld and Trey Lance are nothing alike. And that shows that Nate Sudfeld was a contingency plan for if and when we do have to have somebody here. This is the type of offense that we're going to ingest.
Let's go back to what works. We'll give it a shot. We'll dip our toe in. Ooh, it's cold.
And to take it a step further, when we ultimately got rid of Nate, right, where he got paid $3 million for a cup of coffee and a sweet roll, who do we give him up for?
Purdy.
Nate. Brock has nothing to do with what we did with, even in the small 2 games that we saw Trey Lance play, not even 2 games, 4.5 quarters, right? Nothing of what Trey Lance was doing offensively resembles anything that Brock Purdy did when he got on the field, right? Sam Darnold is athletically more talented than Brock Purdy, and he's on par athletically with Trey Lance, I believe. Oh, yeah, slightly. But again, Sam Darnold is here because he's going to be the iteration of what they really want to run. And then they go a step further and then bring in Brandon Allen. Trey Lance is the only type of quarterback with his skill set in the building. We haven't even gotten a backup quarterback to show that offense that we're even the offense that we disagreed with that Kyle ran with Trey. They didn't even bring in a backup to make sure that the team could still keep running it. They weren't really married to it. Trey's not making the field, man.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That was a great rant. Let me kick this back to where we were started, though. The trade market. The Niners are just saying, like, look, it's not our fault. There's no one wants him. I'm sorry about the banging upstairs. Can you hear it?
All right. No, I can't hear it.
You can't hear it? Okay. So I was saying, they're saying, look, he sucks in practice. Without saying it, he sucks in practice. You guys need to know that so that you understand our thought process. If he does suck in practice, shut up about it. Why are you telling people? Why do you need people to know? For example, Jimmy Garoppolo on the Patriots, okay? He sat on the bench forever. And there was a report came out like year 3 from New England that said, hey, Brady's been out because of this Deflategate thing, and Jimmy's running the offense, and honestly, he's running it as well as Brady ever has. Remember that report?
Yep.
It was baloney. But that's what they put out there because they knew they were going to have to trade him eventually, and they floated that thing. Oh man, he runs this as well as
he's killing.
He's killing it, man. And then soon they trade him for a 2nd-round pick, which is not what you would trade a guy. You would keep a guy if he was running it like Brady. Trade him for a 2nd-round pick. The Niners get him when they realize, oh my God, he sucks in practice. He's a gamer. But he's not good in practice. And then a report comes out a couple years later from whoever does the play-by-play for the Patriots that says, like, actually, their secret here for a long time is that Jimmy was the worst practice quarterback they've ever had.
Yeah.
But he's a gamer. So that's what you do. That's your secret. You don't tank your own quarterback's value. You lie. You freaking lie. Yeah. Man, he's tearing it up, dude. He is tearing it up. But that's what you guys did.
But I don't think that we have that problem. We don't. All right. The thing that's different from the Patriots situation from our situation is that the Patriots didn't spend 3 first-round picks on Jimmy Garoppolo.
And they had an excuse to sit him on the bench. They had Tom Brady.
Yeah. So when the Patriots are trying to offload Jimmy Garoppolo, they don't have their organization or their fan base looking at them for the investment to why Jimmy didn't even make the field, why they didn't.
He was a late too. He was a late too when you had Brady.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with that. They should pump him up. They shouldn't be so transparent about.
It doesn't help them in any way. It doesn't help them in any way. Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of masters that the Niners have to serve with this Trey Lance situation. But priority number one is making sure that the question isn't asked, what are you doing with this guy that you spent 3 first-round picks on and why aren't you playing him? Like, because
Brock is just so special. We're just going to pretend we spent 3 first-round picks on Brock because he's that good.
Yeah.
That's what Adam Schefter kept saying. Like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, but they found their guy in a roundabout way, so how could you blame him?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. I mean, and
they found their guy?
The real question is that if Brock struggles, right? If Brock struggles, then what do we say about the regime then? Are we because what we're really going to be doing is the patience and all of the nurturing that we're going to be giving Brock is going to be based off of 8 games that he gave us, and it's going to draw out, and it really should have been spent on the investment. But
if you think about it, Brock just buys Kyle time. Like, because right now, Kyle, if it weren't for Brock, he'd have no quarterback. And people would be really asking those questions about Trey. But what he can say is, no, we got Brock. It's all good. He's coming back. No problem. But that just buys him time. Because what if Brock comes back to earth, isn't the same, yada, yada, gets figured out? Then what does he do?
He's going to get time.
Pivots to Darnold. Now I got Darnold. And that's going to buy me time. And then next year, I might get Kirk Cousins. He's buying himself time. That's all this. He's filibustering.
He's hedging.
He's the dude giving a speech, and he's like, and in conclusion, and I'm a little thirsty. Can I have a little water?
What he's doing is he's hedging. Like, he's the last 8 games that we've got. So Brock is viable. If Brock starts struggling with Brock's arm, there's really nobody out there that's going to kill Brock. Honestly, I wouldn't. Right? Like, what they're telling us does not make sense. We all expect Brock to come out there and do the best he can. But if Brock starts struggling, I'm not going to be surprised, and I'm not going to kill Brock for it. He just got off injury, right?
How could Brock have gotten better this offseason? He didn't. Right. He hasn't been able to work on his game. How?
None of this is on Brock.
Yeah. Practice matters. It matters.
It does.
They're trying to act like it doesn't, but if he struggles, they're going to be like, well, he didn't have an offseason.
Dude, I'm not buying none of this. Oh, Brock should be ready by week 1. I hope Brock is ready by week 1.
Here's how the Niners are going to play it real quick. They're going to act like, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. He's going to come back. Then they're going to use it as an excuse the entire year, just like they did with Trey last year. When Trey came back, they're like, oh, his finger's good. It's no problem. He's 100% healthy. He's good to go. Then when things don't go well, they're like, well, actually, we didn't tell you, but his finger was messed up. And now it's good. It's like that. They're going to do the same thing with Brock if things go sideways. Actually, his elbow was messed up, but we didn't say anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and as this plays out, I'm not believing they're giving us their best case scenario. But the realistic scenario is that we're going on the road against a team that is ready for us. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to be an easy game, and I'm hoping that Brock comes out there and does a great job, and we keep him upright and healthy with our brand new right tackle and our interior guards that we're finally going to be playing full without switching them in and out. So there's a lot of
that's going to be an ugly game, especially offensively. It's going to be an ugly game offensively. And from the Niners' perspective, you might not want to throw Brock Purdy out there for that, because whichever quarterback plays that game, the best case scenario for that quarterback might be surviving.
Yeah.
Getting through it with a win. I don't know that they're going to be putting up 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 110 quarterback rating week 1 in Pittsburgh. I don't see it. It could happen.
It could. Listen, I want us to do the best we can. I feel like we're going to start the season strong, right? Because what I do know is that one of the reasons why we can talk about all of the small things, but one of the reasons why we start slow is because it takes so hard to get our running game off the ground. And when you're playing against a team early on in the season, defenses, they don't really have to be good. They just have to get in the way, honestly. You're right. I hate defenses don't like that offensive guys feel that way, but it's the truth. A lot of times when the season gets going, offenses have to find their rhythm. Now, what I'm trusting is we didn't start the season with Christian in our backfield. Right. And
that's helpful.
That's very helpful. And I'm trusting
as long as he's healthy,
that our run game carries us while we bring up the rear and get this passing game together.
Because that's what they did in 2019, right? They were running the hell out of the ball while Jimmy was coming back from an ACL surgery.
Yep.
And with a limited offseason. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what saved us. Our run game was unstoppable.
Richard Clark says, truth is there is just no other news. No arrests, no major trades, no Brady. These talking heads just need clicks right now. Trade topic gets clicks. That's so true. 100%. Absolutely. Still, though, I feel like we learned a little bit because it's Schefter. Also, why is Adam Schefter going on that dude's YouTube channel and trying to get exposure? Dude, you don't need exposure. You're Adam Schefter, man. Why?
Another thing that's kind of crazy is that he said that Sam is ahead of Trey.
You haven't been there, Adam. Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
The quarterback coach that used to work with?
Right. And whoever you're talking to, Adam, last I checked, Kyle said the quarterback competition doesn't start until training camp.
I was there for all the days of minicamp, and I didn't see Sam Darnold leading. I mean, everyone who was there said it's kind of neck and neck, basically. Mm-hmm. Everyone said that. Trey had some good days. Sam had some good days. Ultimately, they're neck and neck, and it hasn't even started yet. That's what everyone said.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Except for the Brandon Allen love. Randy says, Kyle Jedi mind tricking fans. They drafted Lance, not him. He bears no response. They drafted Lance, not him. He bears no responsibility to draft. Capital lost, but is a genius for discovering Purdy. That is some serious Jedi mind trick. I didn't draft.
It really is.
Lance, you guys told me to. You guys said it would be good. I was just making you happy. That's not what happened. Because his dad went to Lance's pro day. Rod Simmons says, Coach, so you're telling me that Brock's magical rookie season was so much better than Jimmy Garoppolo's 5-0 season that they're willing to renege on selling the house to draft Trey? A second guess what they thought was his ceiling. I don't understand.
So you're telling me that Brock's magical rookie season was so much better than Jimmy G's 5-0?
Yeah, it's like, haven't they done this before and felt this before?
Yeah,
like, they're so excited.
No, they did this. They did this with Jimmy. They did this with Jimmy with his 5-0 start. They're doing this with Brock with his 7-0 start. They're just they're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And really, none of this really matters until we pay Brock. When we pay Brock, it's a whole different ball game.
Good point. Strawberry React says it's actually false that Sam is more athletic. Brock has a faster 40, 10-yard split, 20-yard split, 20-yard shuttle, and vertical jump compare combine. Thank you, Brock, for watching the show and correcting us. Lobs all day says Mac Jones will have a Pro Bowl year. Purdy must be healthy because Kyle will be under a lot of pressure this year if he's not for picking Trey. Mac Jones will have a Pro Bowl year. I don't
know about that.
Why do people have faith in Mac Jones? He was awful last year because they got Bill O'Brien. I mean, Bill O'Brien isn't even good. Is he?
Well,
he was awful in Houston. I don't know.
Bill O'Brien is all right, man. He's all right.
He's all right. He's a good college coach at Alabama. Yeah. So is Sarkisian. I don't know.
But I do agree with Lob's point. For all of the narratives that are coming up where people may feel as though that we're being negative or subversive or critical, all of this stuff comes raging back if Brock Purdy isn't what we think he is. Like if Brock Purdy comes back to earth, then you're gonna have to approach this coaching staff with now what? You know,
can we talk about the Patriots for a second though? Like this offense ranked 26th in yards last year, and they added Juju Smith-Schuster. What? This team sucks. Devontae Parker, Juju, and Kendrick Bourne.
You just don't like Mac, man.
I'm sorry. There is no explosive firepower in that freaking offense. It's not just his fault. Like if you put him in Cincinnati, he might look better because you got all that firepower. But like New England is like the most vanilla team in the league.
I mean, you know what's funny is that Mac Jones belongs here. Honestly,
he'd look way better here.
He would look way better here, and I think it's rich that they keep trying to push this whole we were trying to get Mac at 3. No, we're
going to talk about that right now. Niners QB situation, same crap, different season, 7 years, says Kaliki Carroll. Yeah, thank you. Pretty much. Both Mac and Fields going to have great years. Yeah, well, I don't know about Mac. We'll see. I don't feel like the Patriots have actually given him
weapons.
Fields has weapons. That's what I wanted to say. He's got a nice right tackle they took in round 1. Thank you, Lobs. Can we just rank Williams? Can we just tank for Williams or May? You never know. Kyle went 3-13 the year after going to the playoffs with RG3, so it could happen.
It can happen.
Kyle it seems like when it goes bad, he just lets the wheels fall off.
It falls off quick.
It does.
We're top
He's
heavy. People don't recognize, man.
Okay. Last thing from Schefter's interview. Adam Schefter said that the Niners, adamant that when they traded up to number 3, they did so with the idea of drafting Mac Jones in mind. That was their initial plan. And then he said they got to know the players better. He didn't say anything about Mac Jones, but he said they did testing, personality testing, the retention testing, cognitive testing, and Trey Lance really grew on them, and that's why they took Trey Lance. What did you think of that piece of information? Nugget.
I thought that was a complete lie. I simply put,
it felt
I
like
mean,
half the story to me. If you know what I mean.
we were all there. I just like how they try to like, who do they think is listening to this stuff? Like, we don't know how to backtrack. Like, I was there too. All of us were raging at the fact that we moved up to 3. And the number one thing that we could all agree on is that we were not going up to number 3 for Mac Jones.
Either Trey Lance or Justin Fields. Pick one.
That's it. That's it. All right.
Yep.
So I don't know why he's trying to rewrite history. And it's even funnier that he thinks we're going to buy it. But the fact of the matter is that the Niners don't want to admit that this is on the books. They went up to 3 for the chance to draft one of these quarterbacks. That's why they went up to 3, which makes picking Trey even worse. Okay? Because you spent all of the capital to get up there, which all of us thought was a bad idea. If we would have known that you were going up there just to play Russian roulette, and then you went and picked your guy, and now you're trying to get off of him after 3 games. Like, that's why this matters so much. It's not the fact that we want Trey to get on the field because we're just so beholden with the actual person. Trey is a good person. He's a good guy. But for me, I think organizationally, this is a problem. Like, this is, if we can't really answer this question, how are we going to stop this from happening again? Right? And go ahead.
Also, I just feel like Schefter isn't saying the whole story. So he's saying, look, when they watched the tape, they liked Mac better. But when they dug in more and did these tests, they like Trey better. Okay, because we know Trey did well, and we know Trey's personality. He's mature. He did well in this S2 thing. Those things matter to the Niners. But what about Mac? What does this say about Mac? It implies that Mac didn't do so well in these tests. That maybe he's not quite as mature as Trey Lance, which I think we can see. There's been reports that he can't take criticism and they won't actually criticize him at all. I think it's fair to wonder if they met with Trey and gave him some type of face-to-face personality test mesh thing with Kyle, and he did well, and they met face-to-face with Mac, and it didn't go well. They keep saying like the Niners chose Trey over Mac. Like, what if they had no choice? What if it just didn't go well? I don't know. It just seems like they're not talking about it.
I'll do it your way. I've been staying away from this. All right. And I gave a whole nother point just to stay away from this, but I'll do it your way. The reason why I don't want to address this is because, to me, this means that we're not scouting the quarterback. We're basically trying to impress the head coach. That's what that means. So, like,
whoever is nicest to the head coach in the meeting, whoever. I can work with you, coach.
Yeah. For me, that narrative doesn't say who's the guy that we can nurture, who's the guy that can grow, who's
the guy I can work with. Who's the guy I can work with?
My scheme. Who's the guy that I can
and who can take my personality, personality, because I'm not changing.
God damn it, Grant! I didn't want to do it.
I'm saying, like, look, the guys they've drafted high in the draft they're all very similar. Like Solomon Thomas, super nice guy. Mike McGlinchey, super mature. And Nick Bosa grew up around the NFL just like Kyle.
If you want to take it a step further, maybe I think the culture shock with BA is that because he's quiet, maybe his demeanor got misplaced for being a docile kid.
He's not your typical first-round pick for this organization. He's more like a second-round pick in terms of, he went, and Kyle even say it, he'll be like, well, he went to community college. As if like, well, he's not quite as mature as the rest of us.
Yeah, he's not in the pipipeline. He's not pampered.
He went to community college. Like, he's a late bloomer. All that kind of stuff.
What that really means, though, for people who haven't come up in any organization or anything in life, nobody does anything traditionally. And what that means is that he's got texture. He's a real kid, right? He's not spoiled. All right. So if he went to like if he went,
he hasn't been like singled out as a future millionaire pro athlete from the time he was 14. Like that didn't happen for Brandon.
He hasn't had his ass.
He had a bet on himself. He had a bet on himself. Yeah.
Yeah. And also with kids that bet on themselves, you got to work to coach them. They just not going to let you tell them anything. They're not going to let you touch the product. They're not going to let you.
Because a lot of coaches have led him astray or not believed in him. Yep.
So, and they know what good coaching is. So, that's, I mean, yeah.
Good call. So I think people don't ever talk about that. Like the Niners had their choice. They could have Mac. They could have, like, I think Kyle knows that he's a pretty abrasive personality and that only certain types of players like him and can play for him. And if you look at the personalities in the Niners locker room, they're all very similar. They're nothing like the personalities on the Harbaugh team, man. They're all guys who are pretty laid back and they seem like they will do what the coach says.
Yeah. I mean, just let's take it outside of the draft, right? Our quarterback woes are well documented, right? And I feel like we always tell the quarterback situation from one side of the story of Kyle missed on this guy or this guy, we missed on that guy in free agency. But free agency is recruitment. I mean, these guys are independent contractors. So it's like a job interview. They're looking at the organization as well. They're looking to be, convinced to come there as well. So not every quarterback that's at large is asking Kyle to come to the 49ers. There could be a possibility where some of these quarterbacks chose not to come to the 49ers, but they were professional enough not to make it public. Some of them probably sat down and said, no, I don't want to be here. I don't want to run this offense. We don't call audibles here. I don't get this type of ownership over the offense. This is all we do. No, I'm not. No, I don't want to be here. And it would behoove a lot of players to be smart. Why would you put that out there? No, I told Kyle Shanahan, no. Who wants that type of scrutiny? Nobody. Yeah. So I guess it always gets told that way, that, oh, well, Kyle couldn't get this guy. This guy spurned that guy. It's like, they're not. These are grown men. Free agency is free agency. Right? So.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry about that. Michael says, can we just rank for, got you. Lobs All Day says, why do you think Kyle didn't want Brady? Didn't want to give up control of offense, in my opinion, and couldn't coach him the same way because Brady can call you out on BS. Well, the thing about Brady when he was younger is he used to let Belichick coach him like he was just a scrub, and that was part of their culture. I think it was kind of the culture that Brady created. I don't know that you can do that with Brady anymore. And also, when Brady went to Tampa, he got all the control over the offense that Peyton Manning used to have, and that's what he wanted. So, and that's what Kyle won't give up. So I'm with you on that, Lobs. Yeah. Lobs, why do you think the Patriots are going to be good this year, man? I'm like, in that division, they got the weakest quarterback, the weakest weapons. I mean, yeah, they got a great coach, great defense. Bill O'Brien will help. Juju
and they got to see Aaron Rodgers now. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Like, why? I respect you, man. I'd love to know what you see because I don't see that at all. All right, let's talk. This is a comparison that I've been making on Twitter recently. I think it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Pete Carroll versus Kyle Shanahan. They're on like two different ends of the spectrum. Kyle Shanahan is like the new age, offensive-minded person who's been sort of crowned a genius without winning anything yet, but everyone pretty much assumes he will. Pete Carroll's like the oldest coach in the league, defensive-minded. People kind of see him as stodgy, but I'll put it this way. Pete Carroll, defensive coach, his offense has been better than his defense for years. He's had his starting quarterback in the Pro Bowl 10 of the last 11 years. He developed Russell Wilson in the sense that he drafted him, didn't miss him, knew that he was the right guy, knew that he was ready to start right away, and put him in a position to maximize his strengths and minimize his weaknesses. Did that for a long time. Got rid of him before the rest of the league knew he was washed, and then brought in Geno and made him a Pro Bowl quarterback for the first time in his career. So this is a defensive coach who gets no credit, but develops quarterbacks and has a good offense. It's almost like he understands modern football. Then you got Kyle, who's considered a offensive genius, cutting edge on offense, but his defense is always better than his offense. He has never developed a Pro Bowl quarterback. He can't keep his quarterbacks healthy. Pete Carroll, his starting quarterbacks have missed 3 games in the last 11 years. So I think it's kind of an interesting comparison.
Well, what I see...
Maybe Pete Carroll should be called an offensive coach and Kyle Shanahan should be called a defensive coach. I guess that's where I was going.
You're a dick. So,
yeah, I am. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's right.
What The distinguishing quality that I see between Kyle is obviously age between Kyle and Pete, but I feel like Pete has really settled into being just a head coach. And I feel like if you look at his philosophy that you just laid out, it's the inverse of what Kyle does with the 49ers. Mm-hmm. Kyle puts all of the assets and the capital into the defense, and he leans on himself offensively as the SME, as the subject matter expert. Pete, in turn, puts a lot of Pete puts a lot of draft into the offense, and then he leans on himself and his expertise on defense. And because of that, I feel like if you're going to do that from a defensive coach, you also have to find a really good relationship between you and your offensive staff, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're going to need to have somebody who you trust intrinsically with that quarterback position. You're going to be able to have to make hard
decisions. But they've gone through a bunch of offensive coordinators, and none of them have been exactly cutting edge. And yet their quarterback stays healthy and goes to the Pro Bowl every year.
Yeah, and I feel like another reason why their quarterbacks always stay healthy is because of how they use their run game in Seattle. I don't think that they get really cute with the run game. As far as
the Niners have the cutest offense in the league. The Seahawks offense is ugly. It is ugly.
And if you think about
it's like a 6.
Also, the Seahawks, they make no bones about going out to go get linemen. They go get offensive linemen, man. Right. Yep. And they pour into their offensive line. And ultimately, if you look at it this way, not the way we run the ball, but just the run period. The run period is something that is kind of fading in today's NFL, right? You don't get a lot of teams that are married to the run. So if you look at it, do we have to be as creative as we are with the run, or do we just have to be physical and just go get downhill, right? Yeah. The Seattle Seahawks, they're not nearly as creative or as complicated or need as many moving parts as we do to run the ball or to get downhill. And because of it, I feel like they don't necessarily need that many curated players on their offense. They could just go out and get guys that can whip ass up front, right? They don't have to go get these undersized linemen that move really fast and all of these curated players for their offense because they're married to the run, but they're not spending a lot of bandwidth on it. They're just getting to it. And because of that, I feel like that in turn gives you a better transition into the pass game because you have linemen that can be there for the stand-up, for the drop-back pass game. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
I just think it's really interesting how Kyle gets credit for developing quarterbacks because he's an offensive coach, even though he hasn't developed a quarterback. And Pete Carroll gets no credit for developing quarterbacks because he's a defensive coach, even though he's developed multiple quarterbacks. Like, who makes life easier on a quarterback, Pete Carroll or Kyle Shanahan? I would say Pete. He made life easy for Carson Palmer in college, for Matt Leinart in college, for Matt Barkley. He made these guys look like Heisman quarterback, like number 1 picks.
Yeah.
First round, he made him look like that. And then he did the same thing for a decade for Russell Wilson. We'll see if Sean Payton can do that. We'll freaking see. And then he's doing it right now with Geno Smith, which no one else has been able to do since West Virginia. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is I don't think you need to be an offensive coach to get credit for developing a quarterback. It's not just about teaching him how to throw. There's a million things that go into developing a quarterback. And it comes down to the head coach. And clearly Pete Carroll does a good job of it, even though he's a secondary expert. Like, that's where he cut his teeth. Kyle could have all the offensive expertise and still not know what the hell he's doing at quarterback, which is what I seem to think. People say he makes life so easy on quarterbacks. Yeah, for like 2 months until they get hurt.
Yeah, I don't see this is year 7, right? This is year 7.
Yup.
Let's stop. We got to.
You think Pete Carroll will be still searching for a quarterback in year 7?
Let's
no.
Get rid of these narratives of this.
Kyle never would have drafted Russell Wilson. Never would have drafted Russell Wilson. Never would have signed Geno Smith.
This is not the most quarterback-friendly offense in the league. No. That is just a talking point on ESPN and the other little networks. This is not. The first thing that players talk about when they get this offense is how complicated it is.
Very complicated.
How big it is.
Hard to memorize.
And how hard it is to memorize.
Just wait till year 2.
Stop the cap, okay?
Yeah.
This scheme is hard to learn, okay? And not only is it hard to learn, imagine if we had audibles. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, Imagine how much bigger this offense would be if we had to actually bake in real-time content, contemporaneous calls, where we get to actually get out there and play real football and get to see our players, our offense do something outside of what they're told to do. So, this is not a quarterback-friendly offense. If it was a quarterback-friendly offense, we would have found one guy and stuck with them, right?
I mean, it's a quarterback-friendly offense in the sense that Christian McCaffrey's here. You know what I mean? Like, you got Debo,
Right.
you got weapons, you got a left tackle, but like in terms of the scheme, in terms of the overall philosophy of the team, like it's not. At first, there's a ton of pressure. Kyle Shanahan's going to micromanage you. He's not going to praise you. He's going to blame you for everything publicly. He's going to throw you under the bus. I mean, you're going to lose confidence. You're going to get hurt. They're not going to protect you. They're going to call these slow developing, long play action passes. It's not easy. There's a lot of pressure. You get no credit for the wins. You get all the blame for the losses. Ask Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at how gray that man's hair is. He's younger. He's like 32.
I never thought that I would be able to. It's the truth, man. You never know how much you appreciate somebody until they're gone. Like, you sit here and you look at the saga of what's happening with the quarterbacks, and you have to think like, God, man, Jimmy made it look easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jimmy, bad games, gets shitted on, comes out with a smile, doesn't have anything to say. The locker room loves him. He's okay with the locker room. He takes Kyle's abuse, still takes the fans' abuse. He's the scapegoat when we don't win. Then takes us to the Super Bowl and we bring in this replacement. You know, like, Jimmy made it look easy.
I just want to compare Kyle and Pete one more time, okay? So forget developing the quarterback. How about just scouting and identifying when they're ready to start? Pete drafted Russell Wilson in round 3. Okay. Started him right away. Saw him in practice. Said, oh my God, this guy's the best quarterback on my team. Screw you, Matt Flynn. We're going with Russell right now.
And Matt Flynn was hot at the time.
Okay. So Kyle drafts Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft. All credit to you for doing that, man. You drafted him. You saw him. Did he start him right away? No. He's the best quarterback on the team, though, right? That's what you're telling us now. But you didn't see that. You didn't see it in training camp. You didn't see it in preseason. What did you do? You put him at third string. So Pete Carroll, the defensive coach, has a better eye for the quarterback position than Kyle Shanahan, the offensive genius. That's unarguable, undeniable. Kyle Shanahan signed Nate Sudfeld. Pete Carroll signed Geno Smith. Now Kyle's trying to one-up him with this Sam Darnold thing. Let's see if it works, man. This is your attempt to sort of answer what Pete Carroll just did, because I'm going to call Pete Carroll is the quarterback whisperer of the NFC West. Honestly.
Okay.
He is.
Okay.
He is.
So look, this has to track if Sam plays, though. If
Sam plays and plays well and stays healthy, Kyle Shanahan, all credit to you, because right now you're not on Pete Carroll's level as an offensive coach. You're a better defensive coach than Pete Carroll right now. But as an offensive coach, I got to give it to Pete. Sorry.
Grant,
sorry, man.
Hold up. I can't. Grant.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself a little bit right there.
No.
Sorry, but you know what I meant.
Better offensive coaching, gosh. I did not let you do that.
Okay, fair enough. I just tried to slide it in there. You're right. Pause.
Too much.
Singular says, what is it going to take for the media fans to hold Kyle to feet to the fire this year if we don't win it all with one of the 3 quarterbacks? I feel like you've been sort of asking that question in a very respectful way in the super chats. Like, hey, to all the different hosts of my channels, like, hey, what's it going to take for you to hold Kyle Shanahan accountable? I love that question. I mean, I feel like I've been there. I feel like you're there. I feel like we're trying right now.
I am there. And you know what? The reason why I poignantly asked, like, what will it take for you, right?
Yeah.
Is because
it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's because that's true. I want to get to the point that 1, it's different for everyone, and 2, there has to be one threshold that does it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when it happens, everybody's not going to be ready to do it. Right. So there really is no time when you're going to be ready, but you do have to understand that there's going to be a moment that you can't pass. And if you let it pass, then we're just going to keep losing. We're
and
not
if you think about it too, like, it's 7 years. Niner fans are married to Kyle Shanahan. So like the idea that you got to get a divorce and leave, like, that's hard. You don't just wake up one day and be like, well, 7 years down the drain. See you later. It's been great. Like, I think it's going to be a very painful epiphany for a lot of Niner fans. Like, you know what? I've been lying to myself. I've been lying to myself for 8. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. My needs are not being fulfilled by this coach. Swear to God.
And really, and honestly, if it keeps coming into the quarterback situation and the guys get older, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. One of the things that we keep talking about is how are we going to pay for everybody? But the clock doesn't stop running. At some point, it's not going to be how do we pay for George? How do we pay for Debo? It's going to be they're not worthy of the money that we're supposed to pay them anyway.
And it's time to reload. And now that window's gone.
Yeah.
And now it's time to do it again. And Kyle, you can do it again, right?
So guys, you don't, if you're getting to the point where we're giving these guys their second bag, you got to understand that they're not going to be as good as what they were when we gave them their first bag, and we're going to have to offload them anyway. So That's the thing about windows. We talk about this window as if we can control it, but the window opens and closes on what the league says and what attrition says, on what age says, not if we have the money to do it. All right. It doesn't work that way.
Richard Clark says the Niners have been great with mediocre quarterbacks. Unless Trey is awful, there really isn't much risk letting him play and hopefully reach his potential. Sure.
I like that.
I mean, you've already told the whole world that he sucks in practice. Like you honestly can't take his value anymore. Let him play.
That's the proverbial why the hell not?
Like, why the hell not? You told the whole world he sucks in practice. Hey, let's see if he is a gamer. Let's see if he's a gamer. I mean, damn. Pete Carroll says when Kyle wins a Super Bowl and hires a quarterback coach to actually train his quarterbacks, and he'll be a top 5 coach. Until then, he's got that monkey on his back. I mean, gorilla on his back. Thank you, Kaliki. Holding him accountable. I feel it. SF Bay drummer says Pete Carroll is so going to get Trey Lance once the Niners let him go. Oh.
I'm going to love it. If that happens.
He'd be the perfect coach for Trey. Pump him full of confidence. Take him slow. Be patient. You know what he is? Pete Carroll is patient. Go ahead.
I got to say this. Like, I am more of a football fan than I am a 49ers fan. Okay? Like, the 49ers do not hold the license on football in my life, right? I fell in love with football before I even started being on the Niners. So my thing is that I want to see the kid. My thing is that nobody's bigger than the game. I want to see if the kid is good. And if he's not, he's not.
Agreed.
Okay? But if he is and he plays somewhere else, that's going to be beautiful to see. Because that's the game, dog.
Agreed. I want to compare one more thing between Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan. So, again, Pete Carroll drafted Russell Wilson. That's significant. Kyle Shanahan never would have drafted Russell Wilson there. How do I know? Because he drafted Kirk Cousins instead.
He had a chance to.
He had a chance and wanted Kirk Cousins. So Pete Carroll saw it with Russell Wilson, made it work immediately. Kyle Shanahan wanted Kirk and didn't make it work immediately.
Can I help you out there? Kyle had a second round grade on Kirk. So if
he liked Kirk better.
If Kyle would have gotten his chance without RG3, they would have drafted Kirk in the second round.
Correct. Let's go further. If somehow Kyle Shanahan had lucked into getting Russell Wilson, who he didn't want, somehow he had just landed on his team, how would Kyle have started him? Probably freaking not. If he had to start him, how would he have used him? Probably like RG3. He used RG3. He probably would have got hurt. Never got hurt playing for Pete Carroll until the very end, the last season when he missed 3 games. But for Kyle, dude, it would have been hurt immediately like Trey Lance. I'm telling you, man. I'm taking Pete Carroll.
And what it is is that, I mean, let's just challenge the academic side of this debate, right? You need to open up this scheme, man. If you can only use athletic quarterbacks in a certain way, and we're looking at sample sets from 10 years apart, a decade apart, and we're still seeing the same stuff, bro, from what you're doing with running quarterbacks, you got to be more creative. You're the genius. All right, you got to go back to school. You know, one of the things that, all right, you know, Bill Belichick, he gets a lot of flack, but one of the reasons why he gets the respect he does is not because of the Super Bowls, of course, because it's the success, but it's the day-to-day. He really is who he says he is. When we were running when zone read was all over the NFL and it was whooping everybody's ass, Bill Belichick was at the height of his career. He was the preeminent subject matter expert on defense. Bill Belichick humbled himself, went out to Oregon, and sat down for 3 months and learned that scheme. He understood, I do not know this. This is something that's beyond me. And I am responsible.
I'll either learn it or I'll be out. Out of here. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And my thing is that I just can't believe that we heard stories of Kyle drawing up plays on the plane for Trey. And
quarterback draw.
This is the
quarterback power.
Yeah. It's like, nah, bro, like this ain't it. And it's almost kind of like we're teachers that know our student is like, you're performing under who you are, under your true talent, under your potential. This is not good.
No.
This is not good. Go back.
Your job as a coach is to keep the guy healthy, play to his strengths, minimize his weaknesses. Kyle is playing to the strengths of his scheme. And if you either can execute it or not, if you get hurt in the line of duty, so sorry, I'll send your family and kids a letter saying my condolences. But next man up, because it's my scheme, dude. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm done criticizing Cobb, but I think it's an interesting comparison. Like, he's this offensive genius, man. He's not even off. This defensive coach in Seattle is better at certain things on offense that are very important than Kyle, because those things fall at the feet of a head coach, not an offensive coordinator. Well, doesn't matter what your background is.
Hey, Grant, but that's the overarching issue where I feel like that's the next step, right? If I don't care if we get the Super Bowl in Kyle's 10th year, right? It'll be worth it because I know that if we win a Super Bowl, it'll be because we got a quarterback and that we got better. And really, what we need to be worried about is finding a way to get some checks and balances between the offense and the head coach. I feel like we need another voice inside of our
Anthony Lynn. Staff. Speak up, dude. You got it. Yeah. You could be one. It could be you. Yeah. It could be you.
But I don't think that...
who's another guy? The new guy? Kubiak.
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak. It could be you.
Yeah.
Say something. Mike drops with Monza says, Coach, you have to trade Brock or trade to Seattle. Who you trading?
Brock.
Yeah, I'm not trading Trey. I'm not trading Trey to a coach who would know what to do.
Seattle. I'm not giving Pete Trey. No.
If Pete had Brock and Geno, Pete would start Geno. I would start Geno.
Yeah.
Mike Trout would he would still start Geno over Trey, but Trey would be the future of that team. I don't know that Brock ever would be.
Yeah, like, all right, the fan in me right now, I don't really want to see Trey anywhere because I know that whatever Trey is, it's just going to be a shame that somebody's going to say, well, the so-and-sos are giving him more a shot than the Niners ever did in like his 10th game. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't want that to be the narrative.
Also, I just don't think like the way Pete Carroll he doesn't coach offense, but the offense he has wanted has been an offense that is aggressively attacking down the field from Russell to Geno. Geno throws a lot of deep passes and he's good at them. Like that's just not Brock's game. And I don't think Seattle is.
Some of our run fits. They run some of our stuff.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Mike drops with Monza says the reality of the quarterback situation is if Trey gets a little better at the 0 to 15 yards, he's a better quarterback than Brock. P or true or false?
True. I mean, the problem with Trey is that he doesn't do the easy, right? Trey has a problem with all of the layups and all of the layered feathered passes. And if he got that stuff down, like that ticky-tack matchbox car stuff that Kyle wants, then Trey will find
he's a little bit like Klay Thompson. He's a little bit like Klay Thompson in that. Like he can hit the long stuff, but when he gets close in, it's like, can you just draw a foul?
Exactly.
Can you just draw a foul, please?
Yeah.
All right. So what's interesting about last year was the season essentially came down to Josh Johnson at the end. The Niners were down 7 late in the half. They could have won, but Kyle, really didn't change up his game plan at all for Josh Johnson. Called it a very aggressive game, and Josh Johnson got hurt in a 7-step drop.
Right.
Interesting though, there's a connection because he was developed in college. First, he went to Oakland Tech with Marshawn Lynch.
He
was great at Oakland Tech, but he was like 170 pounds. Like he was skinny.
He was a little fella.
Didn't fill out, didn't get recruited, went down to USD where Ross Dwelly went. And at the time, the coach was Jim Harbaugh, who had never really been a coach before. He'd been a position coach with the Raiders, but he was in the fast track. He went to college. They won a lot of games together. Josh Johnson put up huge numbers And he was a 4th-round pick from John Gruden, if I remember correctly. Never went on to become a starting quarterback, but for a minute, people thought he could. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I did was I went back to just figure out, the coaches that develop quarterbacks. I kind of feel like that's all we've been doing all summer, right? And I went through I was going through Coach Harbaugh's, Coach Harbaugh's track record.
You can call Kyle, but for Jim, you got to have a little respect.
Coach Harbaugh, I looked at his maturation process through coaching, and Josh Johnson was his first pupil. And he recruited him to USD, and they broke all kinds of records. He had Josh Johnson as a sophomore. You gotta
give Harbaugh credit for even knowing who Josh Johnson was. Again, remember, this dude was like 170 pounds at Oakland Tech, handed off to Marshawn Lynch. It was everyone in Oakland knew about Marshawn Lynch. No one was talking about the quarterback handing off to him. I'm saying Harbaugh's a legend for this. Legend.
Not only that though, but like if you just look at Josh Johnson's track, like when they were there, they broke the career record in total offense, season records in total offense, passing yards gains, 470 in a game, 7 TDs a game. He still holds the NCAA record for efficiency at 70%. Like they broke all-time records there.
Yeah.
And one of the things about Jim is that when he drafted Colin, I couldn't understand why he went after Colin out of Nevada at the time. But when you go back and you look at his belief in what he did with Josh, is that if you look at Coach Harbaugh's track record, his first success was with a mobile quarterback who could run around and throw the ball downfield. And that's what I kind of found that was just odd. I mean, not odd, but funny that he did it with Colin Kaepernick and Coach Harbaugh.
Hey, Andrew Luck was kind of mobile too. Alex Smith was kind of mobile too.
Yes. And it just goes to show that
he never would have coached Jimmy, man. I'm sorry. He never would have coached Jimmy.
I don't think he would have. If you look at what I feel like we've all kind of gotten a crash boot camp course in quarterbacking over the past couple of months. And if you look at what we need at quarterback, you need all-encompassing athletes who can pretty much touch all the boxes, right? But at the end of the day, one of the things that is the same about Josh, Colin, and Andrew that came all from Coach Harbaugh is that they all have that element to be able to take over the offense when they need to. When they can take ownership over the offense. And I do feel like that's kind of like the last step for us offensively. I love what we do. And, I've been doing a lot of complaining over the past couple of months, but I would love to see Kyle step back and give the offense to the fellas. They pros, man. Let them do what let them actually get out there and play around with their skill set. Yeah. All of what they have to bring isn't at the service of this scheme, right. And I understand that a lot of the times where we scheme guys open, we get them open in these wide open spaces where they can get yak and they can do all of these beautiful things within the scheme. But at the end of the day, there is flow. There are human beings playing on the field, and guys pick up tendencies and know how to play against people. And after 70 reps, if you're going to play me 70 reps in a game, by rep 30 or 40, you pretty much show me everything you're going to do that game. So you're going to have to give me something real time, okay? You're going to have to give me something that's pertinent to the discussion that we have now, not what you prepared and not what's coming off the sideline. And I believe that's the next step for us.
I agree. What I like about this topic too is let's bring it back to the Pete Carroll, Kyle Shanahan thing. With Kyle, it's like he makes life so easy on the quarterbacks. Well, he didn't make life easy on Josh Johnson in the NFC Championship game, right? The guy who made life easy on Josh Johnson was Jim Harbaugh. So Jim Harbaugh is a lot like Pete Carroll in that he can get the best out of his quarterbacks. Play their best under Jim Harbaugh. They stay healthy under Jim Harbaugh for the most part. And that's kind of like Pete Carroll too. He pumps him full of confidence. He says, "You're my guy. I don't hedge. I'm not having a quarterback competition." He's very clear. And so people he is a quarterback whisperer. Pete Carroll's a quarterback whisperer, and Kyle's not.
And if you look at it, we can look at Josh Johnson and people are going to say, "Oh, he's a career backup." What are you talking about? Josh Johnson played for 14 different teams. He played for 14 years, okay? And including the XFL, Josh Johnson played for over 22 professional teams, okay? Right.
He's a legit professional athlete. Yeah.
This is a
guy that every coach that's ever coached him has been like, I love this guy. I freaking love this guy. Every single one.
Yes.
Every single one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way pro sports works. Like this guy, if you go back and you look at the game, I know that Vish killed Josh for dropping that fumble, for fumbling the snap. But Josh was actually giving us competent quarterback play when he first came into the game against the Eagles.
Dude,
he really was.
No. Jimmy Garoppolo stepped out of the back of the end zone in Denver. Yeah. But while throwing a pick six. Yeah. And Josh Johnson can't fumble a snap in the NFC Championship game coming off the bench. Like,
come on. It's
easy to kick a guy when he's down in retrospect, but quarterbacks make those mistakes all the time.
I'm gonna put it like this, man. We there's a lot of victim blaming that goes around in these press conferences. Yeah. Right.
All I'm saying is Kyle turns his quarterbacks into scapegoats. Jim Harbaugh doesn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the difference. When Jim Harbaugh coached Josh Johnson, he was a freaking star. When Kyle Shanahan coached Josh Johnson, he was a scapegoat. When Andy Reid coached Donovan McNabb, he was a freaking star. When Kyle Shanahan coached Donovan McNabb, he was a freaking scapegoat.
He was benched.
How many times? Yeah. How many times is that going to keep happening? So,
but again, you know, I feel like we put a lot of personal stuff on like how Kyle does this, but really, I don't think we can put a human element on it because it really is the scheme. He's married to this scheme, man. And if you can't run this scheme to the way he wants, think about this way. Think about it this way, right? If he's got a family business, this scheme is basically Shanahan intellectual property, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So
LLC.
Exactly.
Yep.
So this scheme has paid for homes, mortgages,
everything.
Everything.
You can't abandon it now. You can't.
Yeah. So, and then on top,
it's their brand. It's their brand. It's their brand.
So right now, all we can do is hope that something happens from the inside out because ain't nothing going to change coming from the outside in. It's not going to happen that way.
No, what they're doing is they're on a 25, 30-year quest to prove that their exact formula works. Yeah. They're not willing to change a damn thing about it. And that's my problem with the Shanahans right there.
Yeah. And
I think their formula is flawed, and I could point out 5 different ways, and they'll all be like, no, bad luck, we're good. Okay, yes, prove it. So everyone says you got the best roster, you got the best coach, win the damn Super Bowl right now. Go ahead, coach.
The construction of it. Nah, you hot. I ain't mad at you, bro. Like, and the construction of it, right? What are we talking about? What have we always said? We may have built this team backwards.
Let's talk about the right side of the offensive line. You and I have talked about this a lot. What is the purpose of the right side of the offensive line? What is it there for?
The purpose of the right side of the offensive line.
Let me ask this better. The players on the right side of the offensive line, what do they do best?
Run block.
Yes. The Niners are more committed to their outside zone than to protecting the quarterback. It's backwards.
But
it's backwards.
Hold on. But again, right? Let's play with that a little bit, Grant. That's how you see it. But really, the scheme dictates that they have run blockers on the right side of the offensive line, right? And
they try to counteract that with, okay, so we'll run right and then we'll boot left. And we'll be so far freaking away from Mike McGlinchey that we won't even matter. Yeah. But what about when you finally have to drop back and play football, though? What about then? You can't skip that the whole year and win a Super Bowl. I know you think you can, but you can't. What happens?
That's when real ball is played.
Dude, me and Saleh used to talk about this on defense. And Saleh's so smart. And he's so much more flexible than Kyle. He'd be like, look, what me and Pete and all the Pete Carroll, because he's from the Pete Carroll tree, what we all realize is that you can rush for, play zone, keep everything in front of you, and win a lot of games that way. You can go to the NFC Championship game that way. You can have the number 1 defense in the league that way, but eventually you're going to go against an offense with a quarterback who will shred you.
You got to go, man.
You have to be able to do more than that. You can go very far doing just that, but we all realize now it's not enough.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't get that. He hasn't had that epiphany yet. I can go very far with this outside zone offensive line that's kind of rinky-dink, but eventually I'm going to have to drop back and play real football, and I'm not really built to do it the way that Cincinnati is. And Kansas City and Philly. Yeah.
It's a traffic jam, and we're riding up the emergency lane the whole way. It's like, dude, somebody got to let us over. You think you're passing all of us? Somebody got to let you over, man. Like, and the way that we're going about this with how because the teams, the league is transient, man. There are teams that aren't good enough to we're better than teams, right? We're just gonna beat them. But the best teams are going to take the coaches out of it, right? Coaches are there to manage. I kind of feel like in those games where you're playing the best teams in the league, the coaches are there to kind of manage the game so the players can do the best that they need to do. But ultimately, the scheme and how nifty plays look in pre-snap motion 70% of the game, where we slowing the ball down, we ain't even changing tempo, trying to get them off guard. Like, none of that shit. Like, that stuff matters when you playing against savvy playmakers. That stuff comes into play.
One more thing. With Kyle and these quarterbacks and like his Saleh and D'Amico, let's just compare. So Kyle's messing around, won't tie himself down. Year 7, won't tie himself down to a quarterback. And meanwhile, you got Robert Saleh went out and got Aaron Rodgers. You think Kyle couldn't figure that out? He wouldn't have been able to work it out. Saleh did. Meanwhile, D'Amico, first year as a head coach, doesn't want to build the team around first. He just gets C.J. Stroud. Kyle wouldn't have drafted C.J. Stroud.
It goes against Will Anderson.
No, Kyle wouldn't have got C.J. Stroud. And Kyle passed on Justin Fields because they went to Ohio State and they were in the spread. And D'Amico was in the same organization. He's like, you know what? When I get my shot, I'm going to do a lot of the things the way Kyle did, but I'm going to be way different at the quarterback position. Same with Robert Saleh. Those are very smart guys who work with Kyle, saw Kyle, and you're like, you know what? Love you, dude, but I'm going to do something a little different at the most important position.
Yeah.
Saleh,
D'Amico. What was even more damning about not going with Justin Fields is that he was in the QB collective. Mm-hmm. So it's like Kyle.
You knew him.
You had a
since high school.
Actually put hands on him. So the fact that you didn't want him,
you don't even know Trey. You didn't know Trey. You got to know Trey for a month.
Yeah. So
so you know what it sounds like? It sounds like the honeymoon phase with Trey was great, and then once the reality of who they were and the fact that they were like, okay, now you guys are together. You're like, actually, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
You know what, Grant? I hear that, but I feel like there was no honeymoon with Trey. I feel like Trey came onto the team, and the locker room let Kyle know that he ain't the guy. I think it happened that way.
You know, it's like Kyle was trying to get divorced from Jimmy. He had a bunch of kids with Jimmy and brought in the new girlfriend, and the kids were like, no, we hate her.
Who hate her? Bitch?
Like, no, absolutely not. You want me to call her mom? Not happening. Isn't that what happened? He's like, all right, man. Sorry, I tried. Hey, my kids don't like you. I tried. I don't know what to tell you.
You don't like her?
Gotta be there for my kids.
No, she smells weird. No.
She smells weird, and we're not gonna like the next one or the next one or the next one.
No.
That's what happened. And Kyle folded. He's like, all right, man, I gotta
if you look at it this way, what it is that Jimmy was the guy that they all ingested because they went to a Super Bowl with him. So that's
they went from rags to riches with Jimmy.
Yeah, they actually went from rags to riches with him. I don't think they ever really had the stomach for Trey, especially with what Kyle rolled out for Trey as an offense. I don't think because that offense with Trey was a bastardization of his skill set. We're just going to run you. It was
a bastardization of their scheme too.
It really?
Of 49ers football.
Because it had to be back. Where did it go if it had to come back?
Chris Tellerico says, I'm there with Kyle. I think he means he's ready to he was killing yesterday on the show. Chris, you're still the MVP in my mind. Timothy Glander says, can you explain why the cognitive test matters on this team when our quarterbacks don't get to dissect opposing defenses and call audibles? Am I mistaken?
Because I feel like the cognitive test is how much information can you retain in your head at once?
I'll tell you why it matters. Because they don't know what the hell to look for at the quarterback position. They're a bunch of blind mice searching in the dark. They found Brock Purdy by mistake, and now they're trying to re-engineer the process from be like, okay. Oh, he was great at this one test. So now that the test is what matters. Yeah. It's like, no, it's just part of it, and you guys still have no idea what to look for.
It's an element of it, yeah. And you know what? And even with developing quarterbacks, I feel like we're always putting this window first. They just want to win. Because you got to lose games with a quarterback. Nobody ever develops a quarterback and has winning seasons throughout. It doesn't work that way. So that's just what it is. We don't want to lose with them, right?
Kaliki Carroll says
we really don't want to develop them. It's just the
right,
truth.
and that's the thing. Again, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, those guys have developed quarterbacks, and to develop any player, you really need patience. They're young. It's not going to all happen right away. But with Kyle, he has no patience. So if a guy's first 3 starts aren't what he wants, it's over. If a guy's first 5 starts exceed expectations, you're the guy. And that is not the way to build a team or develop players, young ones.
You know what, Grant? I've been humbled a lot by what this coaching staff and regime has taught me about player development. They taught me so much about culture building, how to move forward offensively and defensively, the way Kyle moves the coaching staff in and out and just reloads. But they also have taught me a lot of things that I wouldn't do. And one of them is how they've gone about this quarterback situation. Like, you play a guy for 8 games and you're calling him your starter. Like, that's nuts. Like,
and
what do you do?
Let's stay there, because it's a great point. It's not just what you wouldn't do. It's like what his own former assistant coaches wouldn't do. And that's the point I was trying to make. It's like Robert Saleh left, and he brought a lot of your scheme. He brought a lot of your coaches. He brought a lot of your principles and philosophies. Not that, though.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with what he learned about the quarterback position from you. And same with D'Amico. Like, they have different ideas, and they probably personally think that you're spinning your wheels at that spot, man. And they're probably happy to be done with that.
I feel like as a fan base, that's healthy, though, right? I've said that a couple of times in chats. Like, guys, you don't have to be so defensive just because you're being critical, right? Like, we're trying to get better, and it's okay to talk about. If you can sit here and talk about all of the great things that you admire about what this regime has brought back or taught us as a fan base and the organization, then you have to also look at certain things and be like, man, this is a problem. And like, if we don't fix this, the market says that we got to let you go eventually, or we're going to tank with you. Right? It's just, it is what it is. You know, tight ends don't carry franchises. Wide receivers don't carry franchises. No. Quarterbacks do.
Yeah, the Chiefs weren't doing anything with Travis Kelce and Alex Smith. They needed Patrick Mahomes. Kaliki Carroll says, Kyle like that Seagate sub. Good till under pressure. That's too soon. Man, that thing has been giving me so much anxiety. I know people try to be like, well, they're billionaires and it's what they asked for. But it's like, but just picture yourself in there.
What a way to go.
Got to be the worst way you could possibly imagine. I can't think of damn.
I
feel like the whole world has anxiety about this right now. I don't know. I feel like people are acting erratic.
I read like half the story and was like, I'm good.
Good. No thanks.
I'm good.
Not ever doing that. Rob Schneider says, my theory is Trey dated Colin's daughter. He broke up with her. Colin started trashing Lance publicly. Therefore, Ian is friends with Colin and joined in. If Rob Schneider says it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, thank you for your theory. Smack Jones says, slow day at the job. Glad y'all Hellraisers are on. Ooh, appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Mike Drops with Monza says, Chiefs won a Super Bowl. Their offensive core group was with Mahomes while he worked mechanics. Backup quarterbacks. We have tight end you and a bunch of weapons. Too good for OTAs. Our offense starts slow because of their offseason BS.
That's true.
Kind of, man.
Let's touch on that for I don't know how much longer we got, but if we're spending our offseason trying to figure out who our quarterback is, man, that's wasted time, man.
Yeah.
That is wasted time. And quarterbacks, teams who have their quarterback situation together, they're ahead of us. They are. That's partially why I believe that Trey is learning either a new offense or he's learning an iteration of what he did last year just without all of that running shit. Because there's no way that they can teach different offenses to all of these guys. They can't. Because we would be woefully behind. Because we're hoping that Brock is ready. But if and when Brock isn't ready, then they have to start the best viable quarterback at what they believe their offense can do. That's why I believe it's going to be Sam. I really do. They won't, because they've already built the narrative with what we see behind closed doors is what matters, not preseason, not games. What we do internally. So they've already got Trey in a position where nobody can really have a say on what we see because it's about what happens behind closed doors.
Right.
I think Sam is going to be the guy.
I think you're probably right. Strider, the stride abides. Dennis says, working theory. Grant is the Kyle Shanahan of sports journalism. Who am I describing? An intelligent curmudgeon I'm a curmudgeon? Whose father is revered. Whose father is revered in his field. True. Both are successful, but have never won a Super Bowl Pulitzer. All love.
A Pulitzer? Wait a minute.
Pulitzer.
Let me do this.
I'm never going to win a Pulitzer either. Yeah.
Is not on the same level as a stupid ass Super Bowl. Hold on. Let's get one thing straight. I know we love talking about sports.
Yeah.
But none of this shit matters.
True.
Okay?
Let's keep that. And that's why I'm a sports journalist and not like a political journalist, because I don't want to have to bear the responsibility of being wrong. If I'm wrong about sports, I just say, sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah. I'm sorry. A Super Bowl championship is not on the same level as a Pulitzer Prize. I'm sorry.
Can I say some differences between me and Kyle Shanahan?
Let's go.
I'm better looking.
Subjective.
Yeah. I have better taste in music. I dress better than him.
Oh, okay. You do have better taste in music than him. He's like top 40 radio hits. Yeah.
Dude still wears Yeezys in 2023? I don't think so, man.
You showed your Crocs the other day during you doing pull-ups. There are people
That's right.
I don't know.
Maybe they don't like the Crocs, but I thought that was pretty raw. The light blue, the baby blue.
And a flat brim.
That's unforgivable. He dresses like the coolest kid at his prep school in Denver.
Yes. Kyle dresses like he vapes.
Talk TV says the problem is the fans in office are content with wins, and the thing to get us over the hump is missing. Wins protect jobs, not Super Bowls. It's true.
That is 100% the truth.
And if you think about it, like the Niners have a real cushy situation. Most assistant coaches have a new job every 2-3 years. Head coach gets fired, and then the offensive line coach goes from Jacksonville to Cleveland. And you take your wife and you take your kids. And it sucks because then they have to say, hey, say goodbye to all your friends, your school, your teacher. Goodbye. Now we're going to Cleveland. And you'll make new friends. And eventually what happens is, your children get older. Your wife says, we've done this 7 times. We're not doing this anymore. Good luck. Like Steve Wilkes, his family isn't going out with them. So what's nice about the Niners is there's ultimate job security. Everyone believes Kyle's going to be here forever. So you want to work with Kyle. You can set roots in the Bay. You can send your kids to school and never move them. You can tell your wife, I'm going to have a 9-to-5 in Silicon Valley and we'll be here for a long time. Like there's so many assistant coaches that wish they could be in a situation like that.
And I don't have a problem with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? God love them. I hope that they're here 15 years.
Yeah.
But just get your shit together while you're here, though.
Thank you.
Know what I'm saying? Like, handle the quarterback situation.
Please.
It's not that I don't want him to not be comfortable. Like, you deserve the money. You got
I don't want Kyle Shanahan's kid to have to like pick up and move across country and leave all his friends. Like, I'm not trying to ruin his family.
We want him to stay, but it's like, you ain't gonna lie to us though and try to act and shit on me and tell me and piss on me and tell me it's raining. You don't know how to handle the quarterback situation, and eventually
and you're telling us you do.
Why you can't?
Right. Hey, we found our guy. Don't say that. Mike Drops with Monza says, I think Andy Reid is the dark hand behind the Trey and Christensen. Don't be surprised if a Trey and Bieniemy marriage happens if Kyle keeps his head in his you-know-what.
Hey, look, I'm going to tell you this right now.
Right.
Trey with the Commanders are a quarterback. Let me tell you, like, quarterback is one of those positions where, like, the outlier is the standard, right? Like, there's not that many guys that are good. Right. But the guys that are good is the standard of what is good. Right. So there's a lot of teams that, to be honest, they've already done what we've done. That's why a lot of times when we talk about the roster that we put together, we've got a lot of name recognition, but there's a lot of good teams out here who have a good defense. They got a solid run game. They just got no quarterback. They need a quarterback. So what we've done, we were the bullies in the yard for a nice little window of 3 to 4 years. But if you're an honest broker, you've got to realize that there are teams just as physical as us now. There are teams that are just as big and strong as us. We're not the only team that likes to run the ball and play hard defense. And now we should have been using that time to get a quarterback together. And there are other teams who are essentially where we are. They just need a quarterback. The Commanders need a quarterback, right? They're a tough team. They just need a quarterback, right?
Yep.
So we need to stop faking like our roster is so unique. Like, it's not that unique. We have a good roster, but it's the NFL.
A lot of teams are building their roster in the Niners image, just like Washington is.
Come on.
Moody says,
Denver, look at Denver. You don't think Denver could use a good quarterback? Look at that defense they have. Look at what they got going on over there. They just need a good quarterback. That's it. So
is it Russell? Oh, I don't know. Is it Trey?
Yeah. So
Moody says Lance is learning.
Saying like our roster is so. It's like there are other rosters like this.
It's true. And it's all fluid in the NFL. Happens quick. Moody says Lance is learning the standard offense, no doubt. Nah, coach, Lance will start over Darnold for politics and trade value. Players will canvas. Dude, the Niners, maybe, but the Niners are so committed to tanking his trade value after practice. I don't know if they'll be like, okay, well, we'll just play him to increase his trade value. If that was the attitude, then they would actually like say nice things to increase his trade value. They won't even do that. Yeah. They won't even do that. So I don't know, Mooey. I'm kind of with the coach on this one. Ryan G. Hensley. G stands for, you already know what it stands for. Grant, can you do more pull-ups than Kyle Shanahan? Yeah, I can do more pull-ups. That's another one. More pull-ups. In your face, Kyle. Thank you, Ryan. I was looking for something else that I was better at.
You got to do a fresh set of the pull-ups. Let everybody know that was your second set.
I did a fresh set, but I posted one on Saturday. I got 18. You didn't see it? I got 18.
I didn't see it.
Bruh. 18, and then in 2 days, I'm going to see if I can get 20. See what I can do. Let's go! But I fell doing squats about a week ago. What happened was I've been trying to go lower in the squats because my legs are so skinny.
What's low?
I've been trying to put like a bench on the like down so that you actually have to touch the bench and get back up. Yeah. So I got a bench that was a little bit lower than the one I've been using for the last few weeks, and I couldn't get up.
Dude,
and I was like stuck on it. So I just like went down to a knee, and then I like
explode up.
Yeah, and so I like it was really embarrassing. I went down to a knee. I got it, and like people were looking at me and shit. I'm like, man.
You ain't had no squatter on the box squat?
Huh?
You ain't had no squatter for a box squat?
Nah, it was really embarrassing, man. So I did that, and I haven't done a squat since. I've just been doing like split squats and lunges and stuff, but I'm going to eventually have to get back on that horse.
Get on there, man. You know what?
Dude, I can bench more than I can squat. I can bench more than I can squat.
Start doing hack squat.
What's a half squat?
Hack squat.
What's a hack squat?
Hack squat is a machine where it basically locks you in the reverse. So you have to go in head first. Yeah.
I've seen that.
And hack squat gets like under your hamstring. So that lower, when you drop below a lateral zero, so it's going to get you nice. Start doing hack squat because that'll isolate where you failing at on your squat.
Thank you. Because my legs are disgusting. Well, it was funny. I was so eager to put the pull-ups on because I'm so proud. But I know when you let the pride take over and you post something on, like, what you really open yourself up to is a ton of ridicule, which I deserved. And it was all about my legs. People are like, damn, dude, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, it's true. It's true. I got some Darren McFadden legs. I got some bird legs.
Yo, Darren McFadden was a dog. He did have some chicken legs, though.
He did have chicken legs. Remember when I told that to
Bobby?
Bobby, he was like, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's true. Sorry, Darren. Anyway, that's the show. Wait, no. Stank the Tank says, I think the Yorks really don't care what the coaching staff does. Winning lots of games and making millions keeps them quiet. No Super Bowl. Oh, well, still making millions. I think it's about that simple.
1, 2, 3, Cabo!
Love it. All right. That's the show. Do you have anything else going on this week, or are you going to keep people on their toes?
This weekend on Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, I'll be on with Larry Krueger. All right.
That sounds like fun. Make sure you watch that.
It's going to be
I'll
dope.
be back. What's tomorrow? Friday? I'm going to do a show with Jose Sanchez tomorrow. And then on Saturday, I won't conflict with Larry because I don't want to.
Hey, you know what?
I can't. But I'll do a Cohn phone.
Our next week's show is going to be dope.
Why?
Because I said so.
I love it. All right. I love it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Irfan says, really random, but Jordan Poole just got traded for CP3. What? Hold on. Let me see that.
That's not true.
Is that true? Hold on.
I'm looking on Bleacher Report.
8 minutes. Okay. Damn. It's a
It
reaction?
is true.
Wow. What do you think?
He's
What do you
just going to
think?
get hurt getting off the plane. CP3 can't stay healthy.
So this means he's finally going to be a 6-man? Like he'll come off the bench?
He has to be. He's not going to start.
He can't start. But it seems like he'll be playing in crunch time alongside Steph and Clay. This is interesting.
Yeah, but if you think about it, what that would do is that would take a lot of responsibilities off Steph, right? So Steph doesn't have to do a lot of off screens. He'd be doing a lot of posting, sitting, spotting up.
What it does is it takes the ball out of Draymond's hands.
It does take the ball. Well, is
so
Draymond
what's gonna
happen?
Well, he opted out, so that's what I'm wondering. Is Draymond gonna be there? Because that was the essential point.
Maybe CP3 is the Draymond contingency. Maybe. Even though you lose all defense with Draymond, but still.
Right. I mean, Draymond did punch Jordan Poole in the face. But now the Poole's gone. Maybe it's like, hey, Draymond, you're good. He's gone.
Jordan eye jammy Poole, man. Gave my eye jammy. You know?
What's an eye jammy?
Oh, you ain't never had an eye jammy?
Nah.
A fish jammed in your eye?
Do I look like I've had an eye jammy? Look at his nose. Look at his nose. Never touched. Talk my way out of every scrap I ever needed to talk my way out of.
That's your problem. When people be hearing you talk, they be like, he ain't never been in no fight.
Hell no, I haven't been in a fight because at Montero Middle School, everyone liked me. I knew what I had to do. The assignment was clear. Get on the bus, get to school, and get home without getting killed.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk it out.
Yeah. Man. Anyway, thank you, Irfin. Very interesting. Matthew Sanders, all 5 confirmed dead. Oh, man.
Oh, no. It is what it is, man. Like, that's rough. That's so rough. Because on one hand, the practical side is like, what are you doing down there, right? But then you have to look at just the way it played out, and it's just like, that's got to be agony, right? Like, to go that way, that's got to be crazy, Grant.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's awful.
It is. It is. It's hard, man.
Mike drops with Mansa. Kuminga is winner in that trade. What?
Oh, Kuminga.
Let's see if he's on the team next week.
I don't think they're going to keep Kuminga.
I don't think so either. I feel like Poole was the first. I feel like what they're doing is getting rid of the kids. They're getting rid of them. Like Jordan Poole, you want to be a star? Okay, go to Washington.
The GM that they just lost.
Yeah.
What's the GM's name? Bob
Myers.
Bob Myers. I was about to call him Bob Ross the painter. Bob Myers. Do you think that that's almost kind of emblematic of those being Bob Myers guys that he was protecting while he was there?
Maybe the offseason, hey, we're going to get rid of Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga, and maybe Bob Myers says, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And they say, well, goodbye. Oh, I don't know. Possible. Interesting. Yeah. All right. That's the show. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with Jose. Watch Larry and the coach on Saturday. And if you want to call in, I'll have a call-in show either Saturday or Sunday. Bear with me. I'll let you know. See you guys. Definitely.